welcome back to the Zoom room. Nice to see you again, Elaine and Christine. So by request, we're going to dive straight into the text today, which is section 6 of chapter 18, which is all about the body. So it's called Beyond the Body. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Just give me a moment to get the live stream going properly. Link people into that, and then we'll dive into the text. It's 14 paragraphs, so it might take us 3 hours, but I have till 9 o'clock, so we do have time. Okay, so share my screen with you. All right, so this one, as I said, is called Beyond the Body, section 6, chapter 18. Done a bit of translation already, but we still need to personalize it, so put it into first person. So just bear that in mind as you go. Quite a bit of other, terms: God, Kingdom of Heaven, Son of God, etc. So if you read it in the original, I think, Christine, and then just sentence by sentence go to the alternative, and we'll do the translation.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is nothing outside you. That is what you must ultimately learn. What I must ultimately learn. What is the realization that the state of pure formless awareness is restored in me.
So the Kingdom of Heaven. Read the original, and then also so
that
the Kingdom
is
of
what
Heaven,
you
state.
must ultimately learn, for it is the realization that the Kingdom of Heaven is restored to you.
Restored to me. Okay. Number 3.
For God created this, and he did not depart from it nor leave it separate from himself. For pure formless awareness of perfect love only extends this.
Extended only this. And that would be a better way of saying it. Extended only this. And it did not depart from it nor leave it separate from itself. Was not apart from him, so did not
nor leave it separate from itself.
Yeah, did not depart from it, being the extension. Extends, maybe instead of extended, extends. Restored to me, and it. Maybe let's say has never. It has never departed from it. Nor left it separate. Extends only this. So I realize the state of pure form was restored to me. God created only this. Pure formless one is perfect love. Extends only this, and it has never departed from itself, nor left it separate from itself. Yeah. When you actually read it like that, you see the insanity of the ego's system, because it's saying that pure formless awareness of perfect love can somehow depart from itself and not be what it is. It's clearly ridiculous. It is what it is. So it has never ceased to be what it is. It can't depart from itself or be separate from itself. So the illusion that it has is just that, an illusion. So it's not reality. Okay, number 4 in the original.
The kingdom of heaven is the dwelling place of the Son of God, who left not his Father and dwells not apart from him.
Yeah.
The state of pure formless awareness is the dwelling place of the extension of perfect love, which did not leave its source.
Let's say never left.
Which never left its source and is not apart from it.
The dwelling place, state of pure formless awareness is the, how about the natural state? State of pure formless awareness, the kingdom of heaven, is the natural state, because it's not really a place, it's a state. It's a natural state of the extension of perfect love, which never left its source and is not apart from it. So we are one with this awareness still. And then he says, the next thinking heaven is not a place nor a condition.
Heaven is not a place nor a condition. It is merely an awareness. Perfect.
Translate.
The state of pure formless awareness is not a place or a condition. Which is what you said.
Yeah, it's a state.
It is merely an awareness of perfect oneness and the knowledge that there is nothing else, nothing outside this oneness and nothing else within. It is merely an awareness of perfect oneness.
Yeah, so he's actually telling us here that our translation is spot on, isn't it? Because we translate God as pure formless awareness of perfect love. And he's saying here, it is merely an awareness of perfect oneness or love. The pure formless awareness of perfect oneness or love. That's what it is. That's what heaven is, and that's what God is.
And the knowledge that there's nothing else, nothing outside the oneness, and nothing else within.
Yeah, so any thoughts on that? What's he saying here in summary, Christine?
Well, just comes to this again and again. That's
read it. Just read it from the top, if you don't mind, in the alternative.
okay. There is nothing outside me. That is what I must ultimately learn, for it is the realization that the state of pure formless awareness is restored to me. For pure formless awareness of perfect love extends only this, and it has never departed from itself, nor left it separate from itself. The state of pure formless awareness is the natural state of the extension of perfect love, which never left its source and is not apart from it. State of perfect, a state of pure formless awareness is not a place or a condition. It is merely an awareness of the perfect oneness and the knowledge that there is nothing else outside this oneness and nothing else within.
Okay, so what's he saying here in this paragraph? Summary?
That the state of pure formless awareness is the perfect oneness, and that's all there is. We're not separate from it, nor is it separate from us, and it always is. Nothing else exists.
When he says it has never departed from itself nor left it separate from itself, it makes the bizarreness of the ego clear. But how can the state of awareness leave itself? Is that really possible? How can it not be what it is? Of course, that's the paradox of the ego. It can't really. It's an impossible idea, but the ego has invented an impossible idea and believes in it. So now we live in the impossible dream. That is a denial of pure formless awareness of perfect love. And the only remedy for the denial is to deny the denial. We must deny that we have denied pure formless awareness of perfect love. And by denying the denial, we accept the truth of what it is back into our awareness. And that's the whole methodology. Deny the denial, which is forgiveness or letting go. And then the truth arises again in the mind that once denied the truth. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, it just seems to arise within us when we let go and just keep coming back to the realization that we are perfect love.
Yeah, and this denial is very deep-seated. The reason why we need the practice, although this is our natural state, we've so thoroughly denied it over so many years. And we're talking 14 billion years, apparently, that the universe of time and space has been going. It's a long, long time to be in denial. So it's this enormous denial, and now we need a correction for that denial. We've got to start undoing that denial and denying that the denial is true, and all the projections of the denial. So that's the entire material world and universe that we perceive outside of ourselves. We've got to deny all of that is real. So it takes some time to correct the mind to that level.
So we're not nearly there yet, are we?
Well, it's as close or as far away as you choose for it to be in the moment. What he's saying you've been reading the text recently, he's talking about the holy instant or the holy aware moment in our translation. In the holy aware moment, you can access pure formless awareness right now. Everything that you need is right there for you right now. So in that moment, you're home. You can go to pure formless awareness in any moment, and then you're home. But is to sustain it. You're probably not going to be able to sustain that state for very long, because you come back into the body and perceptions arise again. And so the art of this is to stay connected as much as you can to source. And just stay rooted in that presence of source, knowing that that's the only foundation. That's foundational reality. That's all you can really rely on. And everything else is a delusion. It's a denial of that fundamental truth. So it is a delusion within which you will never find hope, happiness, peace, satisfaction, joy. Nothing. There's nothing lies there. There is nothing else, as he says. There is nothing else outside this oneness and nothing else within. So again, there you have the non-dual truth. Nothing in an illusion is true. Only the truth is true. Which he's been telling us all along. He says this over and over and over again, but he can't say it too often because we live in a state of denial where the denial of truth has seemed to now become the reality. And the denial seems to be true and truth seems to be hidden and false. It's a completely upside down, backwards world which we seem to live in, and we need correction for that. Okay, happy with number one. Move on to move on to two. Elaine, if you could read that one for us in the
in the alternative.
6:20 when I'm.
Read it in the original for the first 3 paragraphs, three sentences.
Yeah. Right. What could God give but knowledge of himself? What could pure formless awareness of perfect love give but knowledge of itself? What else is there to give? What else is there to give? Yeah, that's the same. Let's just hit next one. The belief that you could give and get something else, something outside yourself, has cost you the awareness of heaven and of your identity. And the belief that I could give and get something else, something outside myself, has cost me the awareness of the state of pure formless awareness and my identity.
Just make that a bit more summarized. Something else outside myself. We'll capitalize the self.
Mm-hmm.
Has cost me the awareness
of the state of pure formless awareness and my identity. And you have done a stranger, I have done a stranger thing than I yet realize. I have displaced guilt to my body from my mind. Yet a body cannot be guilty, for it can do nothing of itself. I who think I hate my body deceive myself. I hate my mind, for guilt has entered into it, and my mind wants to remain separate from my companion's mind, which it cannot do.
Okay, read it from the top again.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure we got that all correct.
What could pure formless awareness of perfect love give but knowledge of itself? What else is there to give? The belief that I could give and get something else outside myself has cost me the awareness of the state of pure formless awareness and my identity. And I have done a stranger thing than I yet realize. I have displaced my guilt to my body from my mind. Yet a body cannot be guilty, for it can, I can't see that word,
Right.
for it can do nothing itself. I who think I hate my body deceive myself. I hate my mind, for guilt has entered into it, and my mind wants to remain separate from my companion's mind, which it cannot do.
Yes, I'll just change that. So I deceive myself. I think I hate my body. Much simpler sentence structure. I hate my mind. For guilt has entered into it. My mind wants to remain separate from my companion's mind, which it cannot do. Okay, so what's he saying here in summary of number 2?
Well, again, pure formless awareness, we believe, in the separate self, which is covering the pure formless awareness. And so we have displaced the body from the mind, and yet the body can't be guilty because it can't do anything on itself. So we're deceiving ourselves, and we think we hate the body, but we hate the mind for the guilt that has entered into it. And the mind wants to remain separate from your companion's mind, which of course it can't do because we are all one. So we've sort of covered up this pure formless awareness, just so much so we just can't see our true self.
No, very well summarized. I think the key point is we've displaced guilt. So we feel guilty for what we think we've done. The original sin is we think we've destroyed love, and that we're terribly guilty and deserve to be punished for that, which is not true. We never could do that. It's not possible. And then this imagined guilt, the mind can't handle it, so it projects it into the body, displaces it to the body. Says, okay, well now the body is guilty, and then seeks to condemn and punish the body. So this explains a lot of the bizarre behavior of people. They punish themselves by abusing their bodies, by hurting their bodies. Some people actively self-harm. Others just do it with slow poison by giving their body poisonous substances, by mistreating the body. And this is all the attempt of this delusional thought system to displace guilt from the mind to the body. And then guilt demands punishment. So now that you must punish the body. If the body is guilty, then you must punish the body. And that punishment, looks like, well, I'm actually doing things to hurt myself that are harming the body. This explains really why so many people mistreat their bodies, because they hate the body.
Yeah.
It's just that hatred is projected out from the mind into the body. And then they displace the guilt into the body, and this is why the body is attacked, the body gets sick, the body ages, the body dies, because it's a displacement of the guilt in the mind into the body, and then the body seems to suffer the consequences of that guilt. Remember, guilt demands punishment, so there must be punishment if there's guilt. We think we've really separated from love. We think we've destroyed this perfect oneness or love, and now we deserve to be punished. There's a false expectation of punishment appearing real, so the mind can't handle that, so it projects it out into a body. says, okay, now it's not the mind, but it's the body that's guilty, and the body needs to be hurt and condemned and punished, which explains why we mistreat our bodies so much. Why do most people not really take care of their bodies and nurture it as a temple? Why do we put so much rubbish into it? Feeding it all kinds of wrong foods, drinking the wrong things, taking various substances, alcohol, drugs. These are all poisons. So we're poisoning our bodies. For what reason? Well, this explains it, doesn't it? We do that because we're displacing the guilt from the mind into the body. And then the body must now be punished because it is seen as guilty. And this is all subconscious. Someone who's doing this to their body may not consciously be aware of it, but it's all happening in the subconscious, which is why you've got to do spiritual healing to really clean up, the body and become truly healthy. Spiritual healing is required, because just saying, well, I'll go on some detox and some diet, and if you haven't let go of the guilt, then the abuse will continue. You might, do a detox for a while, but if the mind is still seeking to displace its guilt into the body, then the abuse of the body will continue. And the problem, because the problem lies in the mind. It doesn't lie on the physical level. So any good program to kind of clean up the body should involve the release of guilt, letting go of the guilt that's been projected onto the body, so that the source of the punishment of the body is removed. Because if you keep wanting to punish your body, then what can you expect but to mistreat it and to abuse it?
Yeah.
So this is an insight. If you look at the recovery movement and any kind of attempt to clean up the body, let's say the body is unhealthy, there's a whole the detox industry and recovery movement and so on. Often what they miss out on is this aspect of, well, we need to heal the mind. Primarily because the body is sick because of the mind's projection of guilt onto it and the attack by the mind on the body. And then that attack takes the form of behaviors that hurt the body, whether it's directly self-harm or I just self-harm all the time on a low level because I'm ingesting the wrong kinds of foods and substances. It's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Alcoholics Anonymous approach is quite successful because they start addressing the guilt in the mind and they start helping the person to let go of that. And then they don't need to punish themselves anymore and ingest this toxic substance. Which is one of the reasons why they've been quite successful. Okay, so any other comments?
No, it's very clear.
Yeah,
very clear.
It's when you start understanding this deeper teachings, which only come in the text. So you're right, you don't get this in the workbook. Understanding guilt, and it really comes from the text. Once you understand how it works, so much of what happens in this world makes sense, doesn't it? You now have an explanation as to why people use and abuse and misuse their bodies so much. When the information's out there, okay, well, don't do this, and there's information that's fairly widespread now and commonly known. Okay, well, eating certain kinds of foods, drinking alcohol, smoking, drinking, drugs, these are not good for you. The information's there, so why do people still do it? Because of the guilt. That's why. Because they can't help themselves. If you're guilty and your mind is seeking to displace the guilt into the body, then compulsively you will hurt the body, and you'll do it in these ritualistic ways. It becomes an addiction and it's bound up with your ego's desire for stuff. It's all part of a system. See, it's a system of guilt and sin and fear and attack. and the one thing feeds into the other. So addiction and guilt and sin and fear go hand in hand. It's all part of the same system. We've got to start breaking that system, undoing that system from its foundation. So what is the premise of the system of thought that gives rise to all of these, unfortunate consequences? Well, Yeshua is telling us it's the tiny mad idea of separation that you believed in. You made it real because you believed in it, because we wanted it. So the desire led to the belief. Once you believe in it, then you must believe, in order to believe in it, that you have destroyed God, love, oneness, pure formless awareness, perfect oneness. You must have to believe then that you've destroyed that if you're going to believe in the ego, the idea of separation. And so now you have this terrible belief that you've destroyed perfect love or oneness, which is all that's truly valuable. And now you must pay the price for that. The ego tells you you must be punished for that. So there's a false expectation of punishment appearing real. And that punishment will then take many forms, many external forms. So we're starting to see through this detailed analysis of the ego, how the ego works, and exactly why these kinds of behaviors, bizarre behaviors of hurting yourself, and at the extreme, killing yourself. Suicide, I think, is the second biggest killer of people on the planet. Well, why would you kill yourself? Seek to kill the body because you hate it and you loathe it, and that's because you projected your guilt out onto it, because you can't handle it in the mind. So it seems like you can get rid of it by projecting it onto the body, which is not the case. You can't. The ego is telling you a lie, but it gets you to try and do it anyway. And this is why people get stuck in really toxic relationships and other situations, because they don't realize what's actually happening. So by unpacking it all in the text, you start to get a deeper understanding of what's really happening and how life really works. Although it's illusion, to perceive the illusions clearly is the way out of the illusions, because then you can see them for what they are, and as soon as you identify them as illusions, then you can't believe in them anymore. You realize there's something much more than that. All right, so happy with number 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So lines are joined. Do you want to do one more paragraph and then go and get your dinner?
Yeah. I'll go and organize the dinner and take the dogs for their walk. Right.
Yeah.
So shall I do the alternative, or is there things to change?
Yeah, fine. Do the alternative. It's not much to translate.
Right. Minds are joined, bodies are not. Only by assigning to the mind the properties of the body does separation seem to be possible. And it is mind that seems to be fragmented and private and alone. Its guilt, which keeps it separate, is projected to the body, which suffers and dies because it is attacked to hold the separation in the mind and let it not know its identity. Mind cannot attack, but your deluded mind can make fantasies and direct the body to act them out. Yet it is
Just
never.
pause there.
Oh, yeah.
They did not know. It's a bit clumsy. So I'm just saying, and deny its identity is much clearer.
Mind cannot attack, but your deluded mind can make fantasies and direct the body to act them out. Yet it is never what the body does that seems to satisfy. Right, I need to move the, can't see the rest of it. Seems to satisfy. Oh, yet it is never what the body does that seems to satisfy. Unless the mind believes the body is actually acting out its fantasies, it will attack the body by increasing the projection of guilt upon it.
Yeah, let's personalize and make it attack my body
Right.
by increasing the projection of its guilt upon it. Okay, I'm going to read it from the top. Check it.
Minds are joined, but bodies are not. Only by assigning to the mind the properties of the body does separation seem to be possible.
Okay, so
And
let's
it is
separation. Sorry. Separation only seems to be possible by assigning possible make it personal when I assign properties of the mind to my body. Yes, so separation only seems to be possible when I assign properties of mind to my body. And it is my mind that seems to be fragmented, private, and alone. Okay, carry on.
And it's my mind that seems to be fragmented, private, and alone. Its guilt, which keeps it separate, is projected to the body, which suffers and dies because it is attacked to hold the separation in the mind and deny its true identity. Mind cannot attack, but my deluded mind can make fantasies and direct the body to act them out. Yet it is never what my body does that seems to satisfy. Unless my mind believes my body is actually acting out its fantasy, it will attack my body by increasing the projection of its guilt upon it.
Yeah, so what's he saying here?
Where we just, our separated body, where we think that's a body. No, sorry, let's get this straight. Minds are joined, basically, and bodies are not. And the separation only seems to be possible when we assign the properties of the mind to the body. And the mind seems to be fragmented, private, and alone. Its guilt is what's keeping us separate and projecting it onto the body, which obviously will suffer and die. Just a minute. And it's well, I mean, mind cannot attack, but deluding mind. It's but we're putting fantasies onto the body, but yet it's never what the body does that seems to satisfy. Basically, it's all down to the mind, and we're just projecting it on our guilt further onto the body. Yeah, I'm not getting that way. Unless the mind believes.
Act them out, so that bodies can seem to attack based on the mind's fantasies, and the fantasies are fear and hatred and anger, attack thoughts. So the body can then act out the fantasies. But it's never what my body does that seems to satisfy. Never be satisfied in just that body identification.
Yeah, that's better.
I'll attack my body by increasing the projection of its guilt upon it. So we must wake up. What he's saying here is we must wake up to the fact that this is what's happening. My mind is projecting its guilt onto the body as acting out its delusional fantasies of being separate, of feeling guilty for this imagined sin, crime of destroying oneness, which is not true. So that's just a fantasy.
Yeah.
And when we can see that pattern, then we can stop it. Okay, I can see what I'm doing here. I'm hurting my body to try and act out the guilt in my mind. And somehow the ego is telling you that's going to work. That's going to work to somehow relieve guilt, but it's not.
Just makes it worse.
It reinforces the guilt. If you keep acting it out, and you keep projecting something. If I keep giving you something, what am I saying? If I kept giving you something, what am I really saying? I'm saying I've got lots of it to give.
Yeah. So
abundant supply. I keep giving it. So I keep giving you my guilt in the form of attack, accusation, blame, attack thoughts. I'm really saying that I've got lots of guilt to give. And the more that I give it in the form of the attack, the more that I confirm in my mind that it's there to give. So when we act out our fantasies of guilt, we project them onto the body, and we keep doing that, we are confirming that we are guilty, that we have lots of guilt. And we might be trying to offload it in that way, but unless we truly let it go, there's no offloading of it. It actually gets stronger. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, so happy to move to number 4. Do you want to go on to that now, or do you want to have your supper?
I'll start making some dinner now.
Okay. Can you listen while I speak so we can carry on? I'll read it. Do you want to just?
Sorry.
Can you listen while I speak?
Are you?
So I can read it and then you listen in.
Going to be for now.
Elaine, sorry, you broke up there. What are you saying?
Yeah.
Can I carry on?
Yeah, so I can join when,
in?
because I'll start making the dinner now so I can listen in, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I'll read
great.
it and do the translation and the summary. Okay. And I'll do the next couple of paragraphs, and then when you finish, you can come back and carry on. All right. Okay. See you shortly.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Okay. So in this, the mind is clearly delusional. So in this, my mind clearly delusional. It cannot attack, but it maintains it can, and uses what it does to hurt my body to prove it can. The mind cannot attack, but it can deceive itself. And my mind cannot really attack, because if there's only mind and there is no body, then what are you attacking? To attack a mind that's incorporeal is ridiculous. Can't really do it. But when we seem to have bodies, then the attack seems to be much more real, which is the whole point. The ego's invented the system to make the attack thoughts real and make it all act out and seemingly be very real. Okay, so next sentence. And this is all it does. Deceives itself when it believes it has attacked the body. It can project its guilt, but it will not get rid of it through projection. And though it clearly can misperceive the function of the body, it cannot change its function from what the remembrance of perfect love establishes it to be. The Holy Spirit, remembrance of perfect love, establishes it to be. So it can misperceive the body, believes it can attack the body, project its guilt, but will not get rid of it through projection. That's really the key point. Because you keep projecting guilt, you're saying that the guilt is there. Otherwise, you couldn't project it. So projection reinforces the guilt, it doesn't remove it. Makes it stronger. And though it clearly can misperceive function of my body, it cannot change its function from what remembrance of perfect love establishes it to be. So the function of the true function of the body is given by the remembrance of perfect love, right? Which interprets the body correctly. Remember, the body was made by the ego as a device to maintain, perpetuate and maintain the separation. So that's ego made it to confirm the separation. The Holy Spirit reinterprets it as a means of getting out of the separation, of healing the separation. So that is the only true function of the body. Its original purpose, created by the ego, was false. The body was not made by love. Makes that very clear. Yet love does not condemn it and can use it lovingly. My body was not made by love, yet love does not condemn it and can use it lovingly. Respecting what the extension of perfect love has made and using it to save. Instead of save, we'll say free. Respecting what the extension of perfect love has made and using it to respecting what the Son of God, the extension of perfect love, has made, and using it, being what is made, to free its extension from illusions. Yeah, so I'll read from the top again in one go. In this, my mind is clearly delusional. So in this belief that I'm attacking my body, increasing the projection of the mind's guilt upon the body. This is clearly delusional, he's saying. So in this, my mind is clearly delusional. It cannot attack, but it maintains it can. And uses what it does to hurt my body to prove it can. My mind cannot really attack, but it can deceive itself. And this is all it does when it believes it has attacked my body. It can project its guilt, but it will not get rid of it through projection. And though it clearly can misperceive the function of my body, cannot change its function from what the remembrance of the perfect love establishes it to be. My body was not made by love. Yet love does not condemn it and can use it lovingly, respecting what the extension of perfect love has made. And using it to free its extension from illusions. From all illusions. And so what's he saying here in summary? My mind can't really attack, but it can deceive itself by thinking that it can attack the body. So projecting guilt is an attack. It's really an attack on the mind, but that can be projected into the body. We can try and get rid of guilt by projection, but that doesn't work. It just reinforces the guilt. If you keep giving someone something, then you must be saying, I have a lot of it to give. So within this construct of the ego, projection of guilt onto the body, Holy Spirit, remembrance of perfect love, comes in and says, this is not so. This is delusional. So don't misperceive the function of your body. Just accept its true function, which is to help the mind to heal. And then recognize that my body was not made by love. It was made as a projection of separation, out of the belief of separation. Pure formless awareness doesn't require a body. So be very clear, God didn't create the body. It's part of the illusion of form that the ego created, miscreated. And the only purpose of that miscreation is to enslave us into a body. When we can recognize that, then we have the way out. So you see all of this, and then you say love doesn't condemn the body. Body was not made by love. Yet love does not condemn it. And can use it lovingly. So respecting what the extension of perfect love has made, using it to free its extension from all illusions. So when he's talking about here, a brief summary is the body being reinterpreted by the remembrance of perfect love as essential part of this journey towards freedom. of awakening our minds. Okay, so we'll move on to number 5. Would you not have the instruments of separation reinterpreted as a means for salvation and used for purposes of love? So, translated, do I not want to have the instruments of separation reinterpreted as a means for awakening and used for purposes of love? Good question. Surely I want instrument of separation, being the body, reinterpreted, and to learn that it can be used for the purposes of love and love alone. And so, good question to open the paragraph. Another question he follows up with, do I not want to welcome and support the shift from fantasies of vengeance to release from them? Freedom from them. They're asking us these good questions, and he uses questions a lot. My perception of the body could clearly be sick. I do not project this onto the body. My wish to make destructive what cannot destroy can have no real effect at all. I can have faulty perception, but must not project this perception onto the body. Or my wish to make destructive what cannot destroy and have no real effect at all. The pure formless awareness of perfect love stands is only what it wants it to be, being its awareness. The formless awareness of perfect love extends as only what it wants it to be. And what God created is only what He would have it be. Being His will. Being its awareness. Being its awareness. Cannot make His will destructive, so I cannot make its awareness destructive. Can make fantasies in which your will conflicts with His, but that is all. You can make fantasies in which my awareness seems to conflict with pure formless awareness of perfect love, but that is all. So let me read that from the top. Do I not want to have the instruments of separation reinterpreted as a means for awakening and used for the purposes of love? Good question. Do I not want to welcome and support the shift from fantasies of vengeance to freedom from them? Two good questions. We pause and reflect on that. It should be obvious that yes, this is what I want. My perception of the body can clearly be sick, but I must not project this onto the body. For my wish to make destructive what cannot destroy can have no real effect at all. So I tried to make destructive my mind that actually isn't, it's impossible. It cannot really destroy. Although in this world, it seems very, very much that the body can be destroyed and hurt and harmed and get sick and eventually die. I must not project this onto the body. My wish to make destructive what cannot destroy can have no real effect at all. What pure formless awareness of perfect love extends is only what it wants it to be. Wants its extension, maybe might be better. So it's all the same. The extension must be the same as the source of the extension, being its awareness. It's only one awareness. It cannot make its awareness destructive. I don't make fantasies which my awareness seems to conflict with pure formless awareness of perfect love. I can make fantasies which my awareness seems to conflict with pure formless awareness of perfect love, but that is all. Okay, so what he's saying here is that we can't really do this. We can't really deny pure formless awareness of perfect love and think we've destroyed it. We can't really project this desire for pain and sickness and suffering and death onto the body, but we believe we can. So because of that false belief, we stay rooted here. He's giving us the opportunity here to perceive the body differently and to recognize that we've just been delusional, projecting our fantasies of hatred and fear and attack onto the body. We've been wrong. So now it's time to correct by simply realizing that I cannot do it. Whatever I seem to have done, it's delusional, it's fantasy. It's got nothing to do with reality, and reality continues. The reality of perfect oneness continues, that underlying all these fantasies. So it hasn't been touched, harmed, disturbed in any way. Yeah, so that's number 5 done. Elaine, you back with us? You still having your supper? Want me to continue for a bit longer? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. All right, so moving on to number 6. It is insane to use the body as a scapegoat for guilt, directing its attack and blaming it for what you wished it to do. So it's insane to use my body as a scapegoat for guilt, directing its attack, blaming it for what you wished it to do. directing its attacks and blaming it for what I wished it to do. Wanted it to do. It's impossible to act out fantasies, but it's still the fantasies I want. And they have nothing to do with what the body does. It does not dream of them, and they only make it a liability where it could be an asset. So it is the body. Remember I'm saying that body does not dream of them, and they only make it a liability where it could be an asset. Fantasies have made my body my enemy. Weak, vulnerable, and treacherous. Worthy of the hate I project onto it. How has this served you? How has this served me? I have identified with this thing I hate, instrument of vengeance and the perceived source of my guilt. I've done this to a thing that has no meaning. Proclaiming it to be the dwelling place of God's Son, or perfect love's extension, and turning it against Him. Turning it against Him, turning it against turning against turning it against yeah, so read that from the top. It is insane to use my body as the scapegoat for guilt, directing its attacks and blaming it for what I wanted it to do. is impossible to act out fantasies, for it is still the fantasies I want, and they have nothing to do with what the body does. The body does not dream of them, and they only make it a liability. It could be an asset. Fantasies have made my body my enemy. Weak, vulnerable, and treacherous, worthy of the hate that I project onto it. How has this served me? I have identified with this thing I hate, the instrument of vengeance and the perceived source of my guilt. I've done this to a thing that has no meaning, proclaiming it to be the dwelling place of perfect love's extension and turning it against. Turning against the extension. And so what's he saying here? It's all in my mind, these fantasies of guilt and hatred. Or in the mind, the body has nothing to do with it. But the mind has made the body an enemy, weak, vulnerable, treacherous, worthy of the hate that I project onto it. And it just says, how's this serve me? I'm identified with this thing I hate, the instrument of vengeance and the perceived source of my guilt. So we now become identified with the body. And now projected all my hatred onto it. And I've done this thing, I've projected all this anger and hatred onto something that has no meaning. Right? Because I'm not a body. The body is just a projection of nothingness, projection of a false idea. I'm claiming it. So now, by this process, I believe that perfect love's extension is a body, and this is now the dwelling place for perfect love's extension. Okay, so the mind is delusional, projecting onto the body its guilt and believing that this is all real, but it's just saying it's not real, and we can, by seeing through this illusion, correct it. We don't have to keep projecting the guilt onto the body and trying to attack and hurt the body. We remove the guilt, and there's no need to do that. The body can be perceived correctly as a healthy, serviceable instrument. It says at some point in the text something. A healthy, serviceable instrument to help you to undo the ego's program and learn these lessons. So through the attacks that we do on it, we're learning the consequences of guilt, and we suffer the consequences, but now we have the opportunity to learn from that suffering and correct it. So well, if I'm suffering, maybe I must let it go. I truly want to be free of suffering, so I must let go of what's causing me to suffer. Okay, so that brings us to the end of paragraph 6. Let's ask Elaine. Elaine, you back with us?
Oh, I'm still eating. I'm still in the middle of tea. Thanks, Jono.
Okay, I'll carry on. It's hard work on my own, so come back soon. All right, this is the host Number 7, this is the host of God that you have made. This is the host of perfect love that I have made. And neither God nor his most holy Son can enter an abode that harbors hate, and where you have sown the seeds of vengeance, violence, and death. And neither pure formless the oneness of perfect love, nor its most holy aware, most innocent, maybe, most holy Son, its most innocent extension, can enter a mind that harbors hate, and in which I have sown the seeds of vengeance, violence, and death. No, how could pure formless oneness of perfect love and vengeance, violence, and death be in the same mind together? So one state or another. If we believe in vengeance, violence, and death, then pure formless oneness of perfect love has been denied. And we have another state, a hellish reality by comparison going on. So this thing you made to serve your guilt stands between you and other minds. So this thing I made talking about the ego here, this is talking about the body, this thing. This body I made to serve my guilt stands between me and other minds. Minds are joined. I do not identify with it. Perceive myself locked in a separate prison, removed and unreachable, as incapable of reaching out as of being reached. I hate this prison I have made. I want to destroy it. I do not want to escape from it, leaving it unharmed and without my guilt projected onto it. Okay, so I'll read this. Make sure we got the translation correct. So this is the host of perfect love that I have made. The body he's talking about. Neither pure formless awareness of perfect love, nor its most innocent extension, can enter a mind that harbors hate, and in which I have sown the seeds of vengeance, violence, and death. This thing, this body I made to serve my guilt, stands between me and other minds. Minds are joined. I do not identify with it. Instead, I perceive myself locked in a separate prison, removed and unreachable, incapable of reaching out as of being reached. So I think I'm very separate. I hate this prison I've made, want to destroy it. But I do not want to escape from it, leaving it unharmed and without my guilt projected onto it. So what's he really saying here? So I've identified with the body, I projected my guilt onto it. Guilt demands punishment, so I perceive it as a thing of violence. Vengeance, violence, and death. Okay? Guilt and attack go hand in hand. Fear, attack, hatred come from guilt. I've sown the seeds there of vengeance, violence, and death, and I now must believe that this is my nature. This is the body becomes my reality. And although our minds are joined, my mind is joined with others, I don't perceive this anymore. So I see myself as separated, alone, isolated in this prison of the body that I've made, and I can't reach others and they can't reach me. We are walled off from each other by the solid wall of sickened flesh, as Yeshua puts it at some point in the workbook, I think it is. And then I hate this prison I've made and want to destroy it. This is why people do self-destructive things. You'd argue everyone here comes and everyone is committing suicide slowly. So we're all aging and dying, and just at different rates. Some people accelerate that process through their actions. So they might do it subconsciously by ingesting wrong kinds of foods and drink and substances, or they might do it more overtly by actually harming themselves and at the extreme killing themselves because they hate the prison they're in and want to destroy it. And he's saying we don't really want to escape from our prison, leaving it unharmed without my guilt projected onto it, because our ego perceives this as frightening, perceives this as the end. Well, where would the belief in separation be without a body? It would just be easy to see that it's a false belief, but the body makes it seem to be real. We have this real attachment to the body, even though it's so limited and we hate it. We can't leave it. So it's kind of bizarre. We hate our bodies, we despise them, we want to attack and destroy them, and yet we want to remain in them. We can't let them go and leave them. So saying all of this is pretty dysfunctional, and we just need to look at it, see it for what it is, see what the ego is made of the body, and then change our mind, bring the Holy Spirit's perception into the body to heal it. Okay, so let's carry on. Number 8. So yet only thus can you escape. So he's saying, I do not want to escape from it, leaving it unharmed without my guilt projected onto it. Leading on from that, yet only thus, only in this way, can I escape. I must choose to leave the body, escape from the body, and leave it unharmed without my guilt projected onto it. Because if I keep projecting guilt onto it, what am I doing? I'm saying the body is really there. I'm saying it's real. I'm saying that this is my home. So it's a disastrous effect when we do project out onto the body anything. We're making the illusion real. So yet only in this way, by choosing to let go, to escape from the body and to leave it unharmed without my guilt projected on it, can I escape? Home of vengeance is not mine. And the place I set aside to house my hate is not a prison, but an illusion of myself. Yeah, so we just need to perceive the body correctly. We've made it into this prison, into a home of vengeance, place I set aside to house my hate, my self-hatred, my self-loathing. But really, it's just a projection of an illusion of myself. I'm not a body. The body is a limit imposed on the universal communication that is an eternal property of mind. And the body limits this communication, universal communication that's communicating with every other mind. You back, Elaine?
Yes, yep, I'm back.
Okay, good. That was hard work.
Oh,
So, I'm
yeah,
glad
better
to.
to have a few minds together.
Yeah, well, on your own, you start falling asleep.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you
Where
want to
are we?
read? We're number 8.
Yeah. Yet
So,
only in this way can I escape. The home of vengeance is not mine, and the place I set aside to house my hate is not a prison, but an illusion of myself. The body is a limited imposed on the universal communication that is an internal property of mind. But the communication is internal. Mind reaches to itself, but it is not made up of different parts which reach each other. It does not go out. Within itself, it has no limits, and there is nothing outside it. It encompasses everything. It encompasses me entirely, me within it, and it within me. There is nothing else, anywhere or ever.
okay. Should we read it from the top again? And,
Yeah. Yet only in this way can I escape. The home of vengeance is not mine, and the place I set aside to house my hate is not a prison, but an illusion of myself. The body is a limit imposed on the universal communication that is an internal property of mind, but the communication is internal. Mind reaches itself. It is not made up of different parts which reach each other. It does not go out. Within itself, it has no limits, and there is nothing outside it. It encompasses everything. It encompasses me entirely, me within it, and it within me. There is nothing else, anywhere or ever.
okay, so what's he saying here in this one?
well, the body really is nothing without the universal mind. And if you're not in the universal mind, then this is the projection of guilt and hatred, and it's the mind itself is got no limits. It's eternal. And this is, and the body acts accordingly to the mind. But the body in itself is nothing. It is just a.
Yeah, so we must realize that the body is not our home. We must realize it's just a projection of the mind, and wish to escape. And only thus can you escape. Only by realizing that we can escape from it, leaving it unharmed without our guilt upon it. That's the escape from the body. Okay, so you just rise above it, you transcend it. You don't need to attack it. You don't need to feel guilty about it. None of that. You just realize that you're not a body. And you transcend your illusion that you were ever a body.
Yeah.
There is nothing else anywhere or ever.
Yeah, what does that mean? That's a little bit sort of.
Nothing else. There has never been. So in truth, there's nothing else but the truth, but this one mind he's talking about. The mind, that's why I've capitalized it, the mind of God. Maybe we could make it awareness. The body is a limit imposed in the universal communications. Eternal property of awareness. Mind reaches to itself. It's not made up of different parts. Awareness reaches to itself. Right? So there's only one awareness. Pure formless awareness of perfect love. That's God. That's the source. There is only that. It doesn't go outside of itself. It doesn't depart from itself. It has no limits, no boundaries, no borders. There's nothing outside it because it's all encompassing. How can there be something outside of it if it encompasses everything? It encompasses me entirely, me within it and it within me. There has never been anything else anywhere or ever. Never been anything else. Anywhere or ever. So this is a non-dual statement. Okay, only mind, awareness, what we call source, God, in the course, pure formless awareness of perfect love is our name for it. Only that is real. That's the only thing that is, the only thing that ever was, the only thing that ever will be. And the delusion of a separate self and all of its works, so the body and then the guilt, you feel that death needs to get projected onto the body because of this imagined sin. All of this is unreal. None of it is true. And there has never been anything else anywhere or ever in truth. So you see, this is the end of the dream. You really accept there's nothing else, and nothing else has ever been. And the dream of being a body and being trapped in the body and projecting guilt onto the body and suffering in the body and dying in the body, all these dreams are gone. He's asking us to wake up to the truth of who we really are. And in that, we realize we can't be a body. And the fantasy of guilt projected onto the body to hurt the body is just that. It's a delusion. You can't really do it. Body can't really suffer. . Okay. Any other thoughts on number 8?
Yep, no, that's clear.
Just to leave the dishes, I'm doing.
Okay, so
You're going up early, so I'll notice it.
number 9 is a bit to translate there in the number 3. So when we get to number 3 to 7, just go back there, but start off without that. So the body is
The body is outside me and only seems to surround me, shutting me off from others and keeping me apart from them and them from me. It is not there. There is no barrier between pure formless awareness of perfect love and its extensions, nor can its extensions be separated from itself except illusions. This is not its reality, though it believes it is.
just
Yet this
pause
could-
there.
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Okay, so there's no barrier between pure forms of the perfect love and its extension, nor can his son be separated from himself except in illusions. Okay, so nor can its extension be separated from itself except in illusions. So the whole thing is fantasy, it's a dream world. We can't really be outside of ourselves. We can't really be separate from our source. This cannot be our reality. It's not its reality. Can we carry on?
This is not its reality, though it believes it is. Yet this could only be if pure formless awareness of perfect love were wrong. Pure formless awareness of perfect love would have had to extend differently and to have separated itself from its extension to make this possible. It would have had to create different things and to establish different orders of reality, only some of which were love. Yet love must be forever like itself, changeless forever and forever without alternative. And so it is. You cannot put a barrier around myself. Sorry, yes, I cannot put a barrier around myself because pure formless awareness of perfect love placed no barrier between itself and me.
Okay. So I'm going to read it from the top.
Yeah. The body is outside me and only seems to surround me, shutting me off from others and keeping me apart from them and them from me. It is not really there. There is no barrier between pure formless awareness of perfect love and its extension, nor can its extension be separated from itself except in illusions. This is not its reality, though it believes it is. Yet this could only be true if pure formless awareness of perfect love were wrong. Pure formless awareness of perfect love would have had to extend differently and to have separated itself from its extension to make this possible. It would have had to create different things and to establish different orders of reality, only some of which were love. Yet love must be forever like itself, changeless forever and forever without alternative. And so it is. I cannot put a barrier around myself because pure formless awareness of perfect love placed no barrier between itself and me.
All read. So what's he saying there in summary?
Well, the body's outside ourselves, and we're shutting ourselves off from our pure formless awareness. And where's it? Yeah,
You want to read it? Yeah,
that's
I'm
number
testing.
6.
Yeah, I know. I'm testing it. Can you remember what you said?
Oh, number 6. No.
No. In the one we've just done.
Oh, I see. Well, again, it's back to the body being outside ourselves, and the pure formless awareness can't put a barrier around us because it doesn't do that. We've made the body real, and we believe it. We've so believed it so much that we've just cut off from pure formless awareness. Sorry, I'm repeating myself now.
Yeah.
Um,
It's quite incredible, really. You think about what our minds have done.
yeah,
We've denied, the truth and invented this illusion that seems to be so now all-encompassing. And most people think they're bodies, and we
yes,
seem to be running around in bodies doing all kinds of stuff in this world to try and find some happiness and peace and satisfaction. And as long as we believe we're a body, we fail, because the body is very limited, very restrictive, and in the end, it's going to die. So you're never going to find freedom within that construct that is doomed to die.
yeah,
And yet the ego persists with trying to do that, rather than just waking up to the truth, which is what he's helping us to do here, saying, well, actually, there is no body. The body is a projection of a deluded mind, designed only to create an illusion of separation, so you could believe that you're a separate self. What gives form to the idea of separation is bodies. If I have a separate body, and that seems to be my home, then I must be separate from oneness. I must be separate from all the other people and things in this world. And the whole thing's a complete delusion. It's extraordinary.
it is, and there's 7 billion of us on this planet.
Yeah, you're wandering around in complete illusion, thinking that you're bodies, thinking that it's all real, and none of it is.
No.
Extraordinary, but that's that's the matrix. That's the world we seem to live in, the prison that we made up for our own minds. The body and the world are a prison for the mind, invented by the idea of separation, belief in separation, to perpetuate itself, so that we could continue to believe that we're separate, and then that belief would be reinforced by the body and the world that the body perceives. So it's a setup by this tiny mad idea of separation. It's gone completely crazy. It has now usurped our whole mind, and we tried to, and seemingly created this really crazy, insane reality of being trapped in a body, and now in the body you will get old, you will suffer, and you will die. It's inevitable. Everyone does, seemingly, in the body. So it's not a very happy reality if we're honest about it. It seems to separate us off from other people. Now we have all these relationships with other bodies, seemingly, and they don't often agree with what we want to do, and so our bodies seem to be, well, it's the mind really, but it seems to be acted out in the body, and all of this is delusional. How can this really be if mind is one forever.
Mm.
Because they would have had to create different things and to establish different orders of reality, only some of which were love. So we now seem to have split the mind, and there's something now other than love going on. But he's saying love must be forever like itself, changeless forever, forever without alternative.
Mm.
And that is the simple truth. Love is the same. It's never changed. It's never altered. And the delusion that it has must just be seen as what it is. It's a delusion. It's complete hallucination. The mind has completely lost the plot and gone off on some wild tangent, which has no reality at all, has no bearing on reality at all. So he's saying to us, don't make any attempt to make this world real and make the body real, because then you bring reality to the illusion, and then you have a split mind. Now there seem to be two possibilities going on, and both seem to be real. If you're doing this kind of, for most people, they've completely denied spirit and they don't even acknowledge it. So for them, only the world is real and only the body is real. But if you're spiritual and you're like, well, yes, I'm acknowledging another domain, but I'm also acknowledging the seeming reality of my body in the world. And people try and make that work. They try and there's many teachings that say, well, that both the mind and the body are real, and you've somehow got to reconcile those. And you bring in higher awareness, but our home is still the body. None of that's true. This is the pure non-dual teaching is saying, no, the body isn't true, and the body isn't real. Hi, Christine. Welcome back.
Hi, Christine.
Hello. Hi.
Nice to have some reinforcements.
Oh, yes.
So we're just at number 9, which is, Elaine, maybe you want to summarize it for Christine, and then we'll go on to 10.
Yeah, it's just we've made the body so real, we've really believed in it, that we've blocked out pure formless awareness. And this is just not our reality, yet we've just completely fallen for it. And pure formless awareness of perfect love, we think that pure formless awareness of perfect love was wrong. And well, just getting down to the bottom there. But yet love must be forever, like itself, changeless forever. And we can't put a barrier around ourselves, because pure formless awareness of perfect love has never placed a barrier around us. We've imprisoned ourselves, and it's just not reality.
Yeah. Well said. So it's never really happened. And we've just got to get over our delusion that it has happened. That's the problem. We think it has happened. So we think we're now bound by the body and its rules, and that we are bodies, and we're going to age, and we're going to get sick, and we're going to die, and so on. And none of this is true, and must be denied if we're going to find the truth in ourselves. Okay, so having said that, let's go to number 10. Christine, if you can read 10 for us in the original, and then the alternative afterwards, sentence by sentence, please. Okay.
Just excuse me if I start coughing, because I'm going through a release process, having done those TRE exercises.
Right. Okay. All right, that's no problem. You
can stretch out your hand and reach to heaven. You can stretch out your hand and reach to the state of pure formless awareness.
Remember, we're personalizing. So I can stretch out my hand, reach to the pure formless awareness.
You, whose hand is joined with your brother's, have begun to reach beyond the body, but not outside yourself, to reach your shared identity together. I, whose hand is joined with my companions, have begun to reach beyond the body, but not outside myself, to reach our shared identity together. Could this be outside of you? Could this be outside me? Where God is not, is pure formless awareness of where pure formless awareness of perfect love is not. Is God,
Does not, maybe does not exist.
is he a body, and did he create you as he is not, and where he cannot be?
Yeah, translation might
Is
help.
pure is pure formless awareness of perfect love a body? Did it create me as it is not? And where it cannot be? I don't understand that at all.
Okay, let's unpack that. What's he saying there? It's a question. He's saying, is this possible? Is it really possible that pure formless awareness of perfect love is a body? Did it create me as it is not? So it is pure formless awareness of perfect love, right? Pure formless awareness. There's no form in formless awareness. So in order to be form, a body, it must have created me as it is not. Completely opposite of formless in form.
Okay.
And where it cannot be. How can pure formless awareness be in form?
Yeah. Okay.
He's just pointing out the inconsistency, saying, look, one of these is true, but both of them can't be true. If God is truly pure formless awareness and perfect love, then God cannot have made bodies, and God cannot be a body. These are mutually incompatible, inconsistent realities. So you can't reconcile them. Again, the non-dual teaching, you can't reconcile the formless with form. One of them is real and the other is not. So you must decide. You decide for the truth, then the truth will come and enlighten you and help you to escape the body. And if you decide for the illusion, then the illusion will seem to be true for you.
Well,
And you'll keep believing you're a body.
if
And you'll
anything,
keep coming back into a body to try and find something here. What exactly? The ego tells us you'll find some kind of happiness, satisfaction. But then we're doomed. The moment you're born, you're doomed to age and suffer and die. That's the inevitable course of human life. So is that really freedom, or is that just a prison that you've been born into? A prison for your mind. That's what he's saying. Both cannot be real. So read it from the top again, if you don't mind, just to make sure we got the translation right.
I haven't read the 7th sentence.
Okay. What limits can there be?
What limits can there be on you whom he encompasses? What limits can there be on I whom it encompasses. I can stretch out my hand and reach to the state of pure formless awareness. I, whose hand is joined with my companions, have begun to reach beyond the body, but not outside myself, to reach our shared identity together. Could this be outside me, where formless awareness of perfect love does not exist? Is pure formless awareness of perfect love a body? And did it create me as it is not, and where it cannot be? I am surrounded only by it. What limits can there be on I, whom it encompasses?
Okay, so can you summarize that in your own words?
Yeah, it's basically what I'm going through at the moment. It's quite incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I can't read those words or make sense of those words, but for me, I had that experience listening to this woman talking about the death process and how we slip into another dimension, which is pure form, the state of pure formless awareness.
Mm.
And then for the last hour and a half, I've been doing trauma release exercise. Have you ever done it?
Mm. So you've got a spiritual intensive today.
Have you done it?
Trauma release. Briefly, it wasn't a workshop or anything, but someone took me through a.
Have either of you done?
Yeah, once I've done it one-on-one with a guy who was into the modality, and he took me through a session.
Elaine, have you done it? Elaine?
I haven't. No, I don't
Elaine,
know.
have you? Haven't.
No, I haven't done it.
I
No.
thought with yoga possibly you understood what it's about. I did it about 15, 20 years ago and couldn't understand what it was about. But now you go through about 5 or 6 different exercises that trigger the psoas muscle, which hold your upper and lower body together, and also control the twisting of. You do these 6 different exercises, the last of which you've got your back against the wall and you're stressing your thigh muscles. And then you lie on the ground with your feet together and out, and then the tremoring begins. There were about 6 of us. With me, I started coughing and coughing and coughing. And a lot of I've had a lot of head trauma throughout my life. And that is why I've got the stiff neck and this throat, the raspy voice. I can't talk. So the spirit side of me knew what it was all about. And
Yeah, Christine's gone. Okay. Well, maybe she'll come back.
Okay, was I being cut out, or was it bad connection, or what?
Yeah, you just left briefly. Yeah. Christina, we do have to move on. Unfortunately, we've got to get this. No,
but you're not patient with me. I'm trying to explain something to you.
Okay. I know. I have a timeline. I have to be finished by 9 o'clock tonight, so I can't
Well,
go
just
on.
let me explain quickly that the spirit took over and knew where the trauma was lodged in my body. It's in my
Okay.
throat and my neck. And I was
Okay.
coughing uncontrollably.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else had that reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is we think we're obsessed with the body.
Mm-hmm.
But if we open to guidance and to our spiritual life, that intelligence comes in and helps us release stuff that we carry around us for 20, 30 years. That's all I want to say.
Thank you for that share.
Yeah. So it
Interesting.
manifests in and through the body. You missed the middle sections of this, but you're saying that we project guilt onto the body, and so it shows up as trauma in the body suffers, sickness, hurt, pain, suffering, ultimately death, are projections of guilt onto the body. So all of that trauma is a projection of guilt. And so when you're releasing it, you're actually releasing guilt, and you're releasing that mechanism of projecting guilt onto the body and freeing yourself from the belief that you are a body.
Yes, and you're releasing the whole story of the trauma to the body, and you're realizing you're much more than that.
Yeah, exactly. So all of these modalities are often working through the body therapies and so on, like trauma release, and there's many others. They're working through the body, but to heal the mind. Ultimately, the effective ones are to heal the mind, ultimately, of its belief that it is a body. That's the ultimate healing. Once you realize you're not a body, then you're free.
Releasing all of that. That's what you're releasing.
So did you use a technique, or was it just you used your technique?
Trauma release. Yes. Yeah. So you tremor, you shake, and you shake, and it kind of releases the deep-seated trauma that's trapped in the body.
Is it very effective? Is it effective for most people? Would you find it very effective?
I haven't done enough of it to know. I've done it once myself, and I know it has been helpful for people.
Right.
So it gets to quite a deep subconscious level. So it releases some of that energy that's trapped in the body, and it comes out in the release. So
a bit like
I think it can be quite effective.
It's similar to Kundalini practices.
No,
totally different. Yeah, right.
Different modality. I mean, it's still working through the body, but it's a tremoring. So the idea is you shake and you just let all that energy out. It's probably more similar to like a holotropic breathwork session.
Oh, right.
You breathe, and it facilitates the body. All kinds of changes happen in the body, and sometimes I've seen people are going to some kind of spontaneous release process, and the body's gyrating, or the body's tremoring, body's doing stuff to release.
Right.
So it's about releasing really the effects of guilt in the mind that's been projected onto the body, and that is now the trauma that the body carries. It's an energy that's trapped in the body that seems to cause the body suffering and pain. That's all part of the projection of guilt onto the body that he talked about. Right. And so when you release that, then you free the mind from its belief, to an extent anyway, that it's a body. And the mind feels more liberated and free. And ultimately, our journey is to realize that we're just not bodies at all. We never were bodies. The body is a complete delusion. It has nothing whatsoever to do with our true reality as extensions of pure formless awareness, perfect love.
This German man, Hahnemann, I think, is the one that introduced it to the world, this form of exercise. And he
Yeah.
was watching animals who were prey and were attacked by lions, hiding under a bush and tremoring. And he realized that that's actually a release process. And he
Yes.
brought it into us, and this is how it's training us to the body to release
Yeah.
what we are holding on to.
Yeah.
And I would be a good example because I've got another 5 or 6 sessions of this. I think it's once a week. And I mean,
Oh,
if it gets
okay.
with pain in my neck, then, it really works.
Yeah. Are you feeling released by having done an hour of it?
Well, the coughing that came, and then I used the breathing to calm the coughing down. And then we went into a fetal position and hugged ourselves and stretched our legs out and rested. And I could feel myself resting and loving myself. But then the coughing started again. It's almost like there's residual energies that are trying to come out through the throat. And I get very frustrated when I can't talk. Where people don't give me the platform to talk, even though I talk slowly, because it just builds up in my head and then I want to explode. So it's all very relevant. And I think I'm just being a guinea pig here, and Spirit is using me.
Yeah. Okay. All good.
Yeah.
Okay. So shall we move on to number 11?
Yes.
Got 4 paragraphs to go. It's quite a long one. So do you want to read this one? Whose turn is it? It's Elaine, I think. Elaine, you want to read this? Everyone has experienced.
Everyone has experienced what he would call a sense of being transported beyond himself. This feeling of liberation far exceeds the dream of freedom, sometimes hoped for in special relationships. It is a sense of actual escape from limitations. If you will consider what this transportation really entails, I will release that it is a sudden
Realize.
realize that it is a sudden unawareness of the body and a joining of myself and something else in which my mind enlarges to encompass it. It becomes part of me as I unite with it, and both become whole, as neither is perceived as separate. What really happens is that I have given up the illusion of limited awareness and lost my fear of union. The love that instantly replaces it extends to what has freed me and unites with it. And while this lasts, I am certain of my identity, and I do not want to limit it. I have escaped from fear to peace, asking no questions of reality, but merely accepting it. I have accepted this instead of the body, and have let myself be one with something beyond it simply by not letting my mind be limited by it.
Yeah. So what's he saying here in summary?
Well, it's about our minds being transported and liberated into freedom, sometimes which we hope happens in special relationships. And it's a sense of actually escaping from limitations. So it's like a transportation of the mind from its usual self. It becomes part of me and we unite with it and we become whole and not separated. So we've given up the illusion. Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking about starting to liberate ourselves, starting to free ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've all had a sense sometimes of transcending the body.
Yeah.
And this is far greater than the dream of freedom, sometimes hoped for in special relationships. So we can actually have a sense of freedom and release from the imprisonment of the body, sudden unawareness of the body, and a joining of myself and something else.
Yeah.
And just read it again, maybe from the top, just to make sure we got the translation correct.
Everyone has experienced what they would call a sense of being transported beyond themselves. This feeling of liberation far exceeds the dream of freedom, sometimes hoped for in special relationships. It is a sense of actual escape from limitations. If I will consider what this transportation really entails, I will release that it is a sudden... I just keep saying that, don't I? Realize that it is a sudden unawareness of the body and a joining of myself and something else in which my mind enlarges to encompass it. It becomes part of me as I unite with it. It's got you there. It becomes part of me as I unite with it, and both become a whole, as neither is deceived as separate. What really happens is that I have given up the illusion of limited awareness and lost my fear of union. The love that instantly replaces it extends to what has freed me and unites with it. And while this lasts, I am certain of my identity and do not want to limit it. I have escaped from fear to peace, asking no questions of reality, but merely accepting it. I have accepted this instead of the body and have let myself be one with something beyond it simply by not letting my awareness be limited by it.
Okay. Happy with that?
Yes.
Something else in which your mind enlarges, encompass it. I think maybe there's something else something else is the capital of something else in which my awareness enlarges to encompass it as something else. Something beyond it. Something is the source. Simply by not letting my awareness be limited by the body. Okay, so he's talking about just letting go of the body, transcending the limits, having a spiritual experience where the limits of the body seem to disappear. And we've all probably had that at some point in our lives. One moment even where, okay, I get a sense of some kind of liberation from the body.
More when we were like a child, younger.
Oh,
For me,
maybe.
younger, before all the responsibilities of life and, all the ups and downs.
But it can happen at any point. I mean, Christine, you had a little taste of it today, in that conversation we had with the lady. She's talking about a moment where you feel free of the body, and there's something else, awareness of something else arises. And so in the presence of someone dying, you can often experience that. There's a sense of a transcending of the body, because they're transcending the body, so it can take other people in their presence into that same state. Something beyond it, simply by not letting my awareness be limited by my body. So we all have these experiences which point us outside of the body, saying there's something else. A lot of people deny them. They just go, well, it was just some non sequitur. I can't really get my head around that. But if you experience that and you take it seriously, it's life changing. One experience like that demonstrates that you're not a body, and that's a fundamental change in your perception of who you are. So one moment like that can take people into a completely different reality and completely change their lives. And it can happen at any point. Often, when people are really entrenched in the ego, and the ego is very thick and dark, often there's a breakthrough that can come. And the shell of the ego cracks open, and then they have an experience of something beyond the ego and the body. And that shows them that the body isn't real. So it can happen at any point. So this can occur. I'll go to number 12, Christine. Just read it in the alternative.
I don't think I can read it.
You can't read it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just because of your screen, or you're just too out of it?
No, I'm very sensitive, and I get very anxious very quickly, and I'd rather just listen, because I'm getting a lot out of it. Just
Okay,
being
all right.
limited by the body, and that expansiveness of who I really am. I'm going through a process now of feeling very trapped and in a prison.
Right.
And
Okay.
I mean, you're part of it, because you're tending to talk over me, and it just is very suffocating almost. But what the experience of tonight has demonstrated to me is that we're all connected, we're all one. And I was exposed to a group of 5 or 6 total strangers in this very, very intimate trauma release process. And then I come within the 2 hours into another group of 3 people. You can never be isolated. You can never feel that you're a separate being, because you're part of all this moving plasma that's interacting, and minds are interacting, and spirit is, like I said to Steve on the walk this afternoon, we're puppets. We're being directed and being pushed into this group and into that person's life, or to hear that, and it all makes such sense if we're aware and humble to receive the messages coming through. What amazing.
Lovely. Okay. Thanks for sharing that.
The next chapter.
I don't know why you're saying you don't communicate well, because you do. It's not the case. You speak very, very eloquently. So, but you don't want to read this for us. So, Elaine, will you do the honors?
This can occur regardless of the physical distance that seems to be between me and what I join with. if my respective positions in space and of my differences in size and seeming quality, and of my differences.
Respective, join with. Let's put a colon there instead of a semicolon. Our respective positions in space.
And my differences in size and seeming quality.
Should be our differences, your differences, our differences. Our respective positions in space. Differences in size and seeming quality.
Right. Time is not relevant. It can occur with something past, present, or anticipated. The something can be anything and anywhere. Sound, a sight, a thought, a memory, and even a general idea without specific reference. Yet in every case, I join it without reservation because I love it and I want to be one with it. And so I rush to meet it, letting my limits melt away, suspending all the laws my body obeys and gently letting them go.
So I rush to meet it. And then it's melt away. We raise and gently letting them go. Okay. I want to read that from the top again, make sure we got the translation correct.
Yeah. This can occur regardless of the physical distance that seems to be between me and what I join with, of our respective positions in space, differences in size and seeming quality. Time is not relevant. It can occur with something past, present, or anticipated. The something can take the form of anything and be anywhere: a sound, a sight, a thought, a memory, and even a general idea without specific reference. Yet in every case, I join it without reservation because I love it and want to be one with it. And so I rush to meet it, letting my limits melt away, suspending all the laws my body obeys and gently letting them go.
Oh, okay. So what's he describing here?
Well, it's our spirit. Doesn't matter of our physical distance, size and quality, because time isn't just not relevant. It can occur, past, present, future, and it can take the form of anything and anywhere. It could be a sound, a sight, a thought, memory, and so forth. So in every case, it can join without reservation because we love it and we want to be with it. So it must be to do with the spirit, isn't it? Being in that pure formless awareness. We just...
well, it's a mystic experience. It's an opening into the truth, as what he's describing. So these experiences people describe in all different spiritual paths. There's a moment and they just somehow join with something, and it can be, a catalyst can be a sound, or it can be a sight. It can be so, varied. You read accounts of so-called mystic experiences, and they're highly individualized. But the common element in them is that people feel like they're joining with something beyond them. And they take them outside of the body into beyond the body into a deeper part of mind, where the body melts away and the laws seem to not be there, and they don't know in that time, in that moment, they don't know, they have no sense of time. So all of the laws of this so-called reality, the body and material world and the laws of physics and time, space, they all just disappear in that moment. And that is a glimpse into the true reality that is transcendent, that's beyond the body and this world. And I've had a couple of those experiences, but one, particularly powerful one that, is correct. Everything just drops away. Everything melts away. The laws go away. And in that moment, you are one with this awareness, and it's beyond, completely beyond the body, and there's no sense of time or space or anything. I wasn't in that moment. I wasn't aware of myself as a body. I wasn't aware I was in a room. I wasn't aware of time. It was just a merging into this singular awareness for however long it was. I don't know how long it was, because there's no time in that state. So he's describing the mystic experience here that can be triggered by anything, a sound, a sight, thought, a memory. It can take you into this state of awareness, which is a glimpse. It's like a little crack, a glimpse into pure formless awareness for that moment. And that's the holy instant, the holy aware moment. When you go into that moment and you get this experience of a reality that transcends all the limits that you thought existed. Now, one moment like that is actually enough to awaken someone. They've still got a journey usually after it, but that moment was the crack in the ego's perception, which showed them another reality. And having experienced that, they can never go back fully into believing in the ego story. They know that there's something beyond it because they've experienced it. Which is why, one moment, one revelatory moment like that is enough to awaken someone. So it puts them on a path where they start looking at ways of escaping the limits of the body and freeing their minds more and more. So just be, open to these moments. You never know when that might come. A crack appears and you go with it, and as he says, you join with it without reservation, because you love it, not the form of it, but you love the essence of it, what is behind the form of it. And a part of you knows that this is what you've yearned for your whole life, and this is all that really matters, and this is your true self and reality. And when you're ready, then you're ready to merge with it and become one with it. And so it's a little, moment of joining, which is what will ultimately happen when you let go of all limits and you go back to heaven. It's a little taste of that, final letting go of the body and merging into pure formless awareness of perfect love for that moment, or however long it lasts. And it's not bound by time, by physical distance, of none of the limitations of space and time apply. Differences in size, seem, and quality, none of that matters, because that all of those differences are part of the illusion. They don't matter in truth. And this, what he's describing is what people universally who've had these kinds of mystic experiences do describe. That there is this completely transcendent awareness that comes upon them, and it's beautiful. And they don't really often want to come back. It's like, well, why would I just want to stay there? That reality is so captivating, so beautiful, compared with the reality of the body and time and space, that there's a sense of just wanting to stay there, because that is home. Okay, any other thoughts on number 12?
No, that's well said, yeah.
Okay, Christine, anything you want to share?
That just brought a smile to my face at the end. It all made such sense.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so number 13 then. Christine, you want to read or just leave it to Elaine?
Well, if I could explain to you my small body and my distance, my setup here, you would understand why I'm resisting.
We can't hear you properly, Elaine. I mean,
Right.
Christine, you just need to speak into the microphone more. If you can.
My phone is connected to the Wi-Fi, and my hearing aids are connected to the phone.
Right,
I'm on the bed, and I've thrown the phone on the floor so that the Wi-Fi connection is good and I don't keep getting cut out.
right, I see.
And
Okay.
I'm cold, it's very cold. I'm in my jacket still under blankets. The cat's on top of me, keeping me warm and purring. And I've got to throw this all off to go and get my phone on the floor to see the text to read.
Oh, now we can hear you, right?
And I just feel too fragile to do that.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. All right, so we'll read it. Elaine, do you want
Now
to
the
do the
cat's
honors?
getting a message and she's getting off me.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let me grab the phone and I'll continue. But if it cuts out, it's because it's too far away from the Wi-Fi.
Okay, if you want to give it a go.
All right, 13,
Number 13, yeah. Let's read it in the alternative.
14.
13.
See your voice is already going strange. There is no violence at all in this escape. There is no violence at all in this escape. The body is not attached, but simply properly perceived. Okay, it's the same. It does not limit you merely because you would not, because I would not, do not want it to do so. You are not really lifted out of it. I'm really not lifted out of it. It cannot contain me. I go where I would be, I want to be, gaining, not losing a sense of self. Number 6. In these instances of release restrictions, I experience much of what in the now, what happens in the now. The lifting of the barriers of time and space, the sudden experience of peace and joy, and above all, the lack of awareness of the body and of the questioning whether or not all this is possible.
Okay. Lack of awareness of the body and questioning whether or not all this is possible. Okay, I'm going to read that again from the top, just make sure we got the translations right.
There is no violence at all in this escape. The body is not attacked, but it simply is properly perceived. It does not limit me merely because I do not want it to do so. I am not really lifted out of it, and it cannot contain me. I go where I want to be, gaining, not losing a sense of self. In these moments of release from physical restrictions, I experience much of what happens in the wholly aware moment, the lifting of the barriers of time and space, sudden experience of peace and joy, and above all, the lack of awareness of the body and the questioning whether or not all this is possible. Yeah, because
so
just
what
a
you're
knowing
saying,
comes in.
Oh. There's a liberation in the moment. This is really what the holy instant means, where you in that moment go into this other world, this other dimension, other reality. The limits of this world drop away, and there's a sense of becoming more whole, becoming one with yourself.
Yeah.
And no doubt, no questioning, lack of awareness of the body, of the questioning whether or not all this is possible. It's just a pure experience. There's no questioning anymore. It's just pure experience.
You must be getting it, be feeling that more and more, that expansive quality of a brilliant mind that can come to terms with this text and share it with lots of different people in a quiet, peaceful way. And when you're doing that, there's a feeling of happiness that you're doing what you're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
And you're quietly acknowledging that your intelligence is not your intelligence anymore, because it's being guided and wafted and shown what to say and do, and it's all so magically perfect. I mean, as we read these paragraphs, the right person seems to read the stuff too.
Yeah. It's interesting how it all gets orchestrated.
And there's no sense of time. You just wade your way through this stuff, and it doesn't matter how long it takes, but somehow it's going to all fit into 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that is a good summary of the whole process. And the process is transformational. That's really the point. By undergoing the process, and you're sitting through these sessions, there's something that happens.
Yeah.
To you. So that's why I encourage people to join the live course. Like, well, there's something that happens that doesn't happen. I don't know. Maybe if you're listening to the recordings, I suppose it's possible. It's much more likely to happen if you're actually in a live call.
Yes, I agree with you.
Interacting. So it's another level of engagement. To allow these kinds of release moments to come. So that it starts, these kinds of moments start happening more and more. And then, you start perceiving that you're free and that all the barriers are just melting away. And then experientially you get it. Like, well, I'm experiencing it. So yes, this is starting to make much more sense to me because I'm experiencing it. It's not just words and theories. It's coming into my actual experience.
And then it's possible, and it's not stored, and that's why it's possible. Even reading your email and going through it and listening to the recording is not the same as actually being here and going through the experience. It's very different. It's almost magical. I don't know if Elaine's feeling that.
Miraculous would be the word.
Yeah, it's true. The live is definitely much more profound.
Yeah.
Which is why, I encourage people to join, and it's why the membership is structured. Like, okay, the live calls are really, there's huge value in them. So that's why there's more of a fee to join. So anyone listening, like, join us, because there is something that happens in these calls that you can't really describe. And it's profoundly transformational. So you join the calls, and it just starts happening, and you start getting these moments of release. And I've seen it, it working over and over. Sally is now no longer, sadly, part of our community, but the reason why she's not is because she's done this process and she's actually free. She's getting more and more of the free, expanded moments, and it's just spontaneously happening. It's like, well, I don't necessarily need to have a structured process anymore, because I can just stay in bliss for hours. But there was a training process that was needed to help her to accomplish that. It didn't just happen. It was many hours of live calls, and she did, I don't know, it'd be interesting, but hundreds of hours of live calls with me over the last 15 months to facilitate that awakening. And if she hadn't done the live calls, it wouldn't have been the same. There's no way she would have got the same level of shift.
And when you're first starting, there's a lot of resistance of, like, what am I letting myself in for? And I'm exposing my personal life, and it's going on to YouTube. And then you withdraw and you think, no, I don't want to be part of that. But you don't realize what you're missing out on. And it's just fear or laziness even. I'm too busy, which is just laziness, to just commit and show up. And then after hours and hours of training, you then start to realize how it's working. But if you don't experience it, you'll never know.
Yeah. Well said. You have to dive in and experience it for yourself, and that's the only way. So those you're called. There's a calling. There's something that's calling you to be here and to join and go through this process, and sit at whatever time of night. It's 9:30 for you on a Zoom call, and go through a text that for a lot of people is very dense and incomprehensible, but actually it starts to make sense, doesn't it? What he's saying is not rocket science, and it's actually quite simple.
But for me, because I'm so self-conscious when I'm reading, my mind like blocks off, and I'm actually not absorbing what I'm reading. And then when you ask me to explain what I've read, I just blank out.
Yeah.
And I think it's fear. I'm closing down because of the fear of being seen.
Yeah. To be no one wants to be made a fool of. But the reason I asked you to explain it is precisely for that reason. You can read it, and it's just words. It's like there's no understanding. If I ask you, then you've got to go, okay, so what's my understanding of it? You almost have to reread it that's why I leave it on mostly. So you can read and go, okay, like let's actually start getting understanding going here. What is it actually saying? And if I can explain it in my own words, then I really understand it. So,
it's very good.
There's a methodology in it. For some people, they'll say like it's too structured and there's too much, focus on just sticking to the text, and we've got to get through the text. I had that sort of feedback, but you know, I'm just like, well, why not do all of it? If you do half of it, you go, okay, well, that's enough. We'll just do a couple of paragraphs. And, you know, like sometimes I've seen, like at the very tail end of the session, remember I did session once with Lynn. It was the very last paragraph, and there was a whole thing that kicked off for her, and a whole transformation that happened in the last half an hour of the session. It was like 4 hours into it. So you just never know, you know, when that kind of thing's going to happen.
Yes.
When this wholly aware moment, the holy instant is going to come. It is an accident, you know, it happens spontaneously, but you're much more likely for it to happen if you do this kind of work. You become more accident prone, shall we say. Spiritual practice makes you more accident prone to these kinds of accidents.
More
Okay,
open.
so shall we go on to number 14 then? Elaine, if you can read that last one for us, kindly. Just the alternatives, not much to translate there, so it's fine.
Yeah. It is possible because you want it. The sudden expansion of awareness that takes place with your desire for it is the irresistible appeal the now holds. It calls, holy aware moment holds. It calls to me.
Oh, sorry, because I wanted some expansion where
It calls to me.
my desire.
Oh yeah.
This appeal the holy women holds. Okay, calls to
Me to be myself within its safe embrace. There are the laws of limit lifted for me. To welcome me to openness of mind and freedom. Come to this state of refuge where I can be myself in peace. Not through destruction, not through a breaking out, but merely by a quiet melting in. For peace will join me there, simply because I have been willing to let go of the limits I have placed upon love, and joined it where it is and where it led me, in answer to its gentle call to be at peace.
It's very reassuring.
Mm,
It's gentle call to be at peace.
yeah.
We forget what it's like to be at peace.
Very true.
Yeah, so we have to remember. It's the remembrance of perfect love, which is the remembrance of peace. Okay, do you want to read that from the top, Elaine? Just make sure we got all the
It is possible. Yeah. It is possible because I want it. The sudden expansion of awareness that takes place with my desire for it is the irresistible appeal the wholly aware moment holds. It calls to me to be myself within its safe embrace. There are the laws of limit lifted for me to welcome me to openness of mind and freedom. I come to this state of refuge where I can be myself in peace, not through destruction, not through a breakout, but merely by a quiet melting in. For peace will join me there, simply because I have been willing to let go of the limits I have placed upon love, and joined it where it is and where it led me, in answer to its gentle call to be at peace.
Yeah, lovely. So summarize that in your own words. What's he saying there?
Well, it's possible if we want it. And it doesn't have to be through destruction or breakout. You just have to merely be quiet and melt into it. And then peace will join us, simply because we've been willing to let go of the limits we've placed on love. And yeah,
Patty.
it's there to embrace us in our safe embrace.
Yeah, it's a lovely state of refuge. You know, you take refuge. When I did the Vipassana course, at the beginning, you say, I take refuge. There's three things. I take refuge in Dhamma, they call it, which is truth. So that's the, you know, ultimate truth source, God. I take refuge in Buddha, which is awakening to the truth. The Buddha means the awakened one. And I take refuge in Sangha, which means the community who are, you know, with you on the journey, almighty companions. So I take refuge in Dhamma, the truth. I take refuge in awakening to the truth, and I take refuge in the community who are helping me to find the truth. And that's what we're doing here in this process. There's the ultimate truth, there's a process of awakening to it, and there's mighty companions who are helping you on that journey. And just doing it online instead of going into a physical location and going on retreat for 10 days. It's the same thing. So these, I suppose, Christine, to pick up on your point, these sessions are like mini retreats. Yeah, you retreat from the world for however long it is. You know, we've been going now 4 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and you retreat from the world for that time, and you go into another world, another reality. And if you keep doing that, it starts to take you out of the world of time and space and the body and limitation. It starts to open you up to this other world, transcendent dimension.
Yes, that too.
Whereas I think if you're just listening on a recording and you might be doing something else, it's not the same. You're not transported to the same extent. Because you're listening, but some of your attention's elsewhere and you're doing other things. I mean, you know, when you're listening and you're doing something else, it's not the same as if you're fully present and engaging in this.
And you get distracted.
Oh. I get distracted from what's being said, and you don't fully immerse yourself in the energy because your mind is somewhere else and you've got other things going on. And so that energy, this is like a field of transformation. Anyone who enters the Zoom room, you're in the field. If you're participating, you know, you can mute yourself and go off and do other things. Then you leave the field. You're not in the same immersed in the same field of energy. But if you're fully present and you're engaging and you're interacting, then you're in the field, and then in that field, the Holy Spirit is working to help the people in the field to transform and to bring up whatever needs to be brought up and release it. And so people just seem to read the right things, and you know, the right, just it's all orchestrated within the field by this presence we call the Holy Spirit for the healing of those in the field.
It's exactly what Jeff Levine talks about a lot, is that we are a collective and we're this unified field that has the same intention for healing. And together, as you go through the processes, as he answers the questions, people from around the world are relating, and together there's a movement that is bound to have an effect on the rest of the world, even though the rest of the world is not present. So it's the same, it's spirit working in these groups. It's amazing. I love to watch it.
Because it affects the field, see.
Yes.
And that's why it's so powerful. So it goes beyond, the material, the physical. It's the whole field is being influenced. When a group like this does this, you influence the whole field, and it's helping everyone on that field level, which is, that's the quantum field. That's unifies everything. The unified field that everyone is part of, because we're all part of mind. And so it's working on a level. He says at some point, that you can't really conceive of the healing that can happen throughout the whole sonship. It's quite extraordinary.
And it's also beautiful that Rumi quote of you are the drop, you're not a drop, you are part of the, and you think of the mighty force of vision, and it's cleansing all the time, and it's running in the world you are one with. It's such a wonderful analogy to the spiritual work.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just going to do a quick summary, and then do a meditation on the summary to end this. 300 words. Okay, so let's see what. That GPT does more than 300 words. Summarize the. How long is that one? 300 words, maybe. Maybe it is. Let's see. Quite a long section, isn't it? Okay, so let's space this in. Look about it. Look at it. She already got some kind of key message. All right, so read this. Point. And there's a brief summary. You want to have a go at that, Christine?
The brief summary was
On the screen, there's nothing outside of me.
okay. There's nothing outside of me. I'm awareness is my ultimate realization, as it represents the restoration of my connection to perfect love. Pure formless awareness is not a state, is not a place or condition, but rather an awareness of perfect oneness. There is nothing beyond the oneness. and nothing else within it. The belief that I can give and receive something other than pure formless awareness has caused me to lose touch with the state, and my true identity. I have made a strange mistake by projecting guilt onto my body from my mind. However, the body itself is not guilty. It is merely a vehicle that carries out the mind's instructions. Intentions. I deceive myself if I think I hate my body, for it is my mind that harbors guilt and wants to remain separate.
So he holds on to guilt. Okay, all making sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's good you're reading because this is some of the stuff you missed when you're away. So carry on.
Minds are joined, but borders are not. Bodies are not. The perception of separation arises when I attribute the properties of mind to the body. My fragmented and private mind projects its guilt onto the body, causing it to suffer and die, reinforcing the illusion of separation. Although the mind can create fantasies and direct the body to act them out, it is never satisfied with the body's actions. The mind's attacks on the body increase as it projects more guilt onto it. However, my mind is delusional in thinking it can attack the body. It deceives itself by maintaining the illusion of attack, but cannot truly harm the body. The projection of guilt onto the body does not eliminate it. Instead, it perpetuates the cycle of guilt. While my perception of the body can be distorted, I should not project this distortion onto the body itself. Pure formless awareness of perfect love extends only what it wants its extension to be. Using my body as a scapegoat for guilt is insane and futile. Fantasies of vengeance have nothing to do with the body's actions. They exist solely in the mind. By hating and identifying with the body I perceive as weak and treacherous, I have turned it against the extension of perfect love. I have made the body a host for hate, preventing pure formless awareness and its innocent extension from entering my mind. To escape the self-imposed prison of hate, I must recognize that the body is not real, but an illusion of myself. Vengeance has no place in my true identity, and the body is not a barrier between pure formless awareness of perfect love and its extension. The body is outside me only in illusion, and there is nothing that separates pure formless awareness of perfect love from its extension except in illusions. I can reach the state of pure formless awareness by extending my hand, joining with the awareness that surrounds me. This joining occurs beyond the body, but within myself. As pure formless awareness of perfect love cannot exist where it is not. The sense of being transported beyond myself is a liberation that surpasses the dream of freedom found in special relationships. It involves a certain unawareness of the body and a merging of my mind with something beyond it, enlarging my awareness and uniting both as a whole. This transport can occur regardless of physical distance, time, or form. I can join with anything because I love it and want to be with it. It is not a violent escape. The body is properly perceived and limitations are willingly relinquished in these moments. The barrier of time and space disappear and I experience peace, joy, and a lack of awareness of the body.
Yeah. So any other thoughts on that, based on the summary?
Is this the personalized summary? It's a long one.
Yeah, well, it's 14 paragraphs. We could cut it down a bit, but it's quite comprehensive.
What's it, Baba?
There's one more paragraph. This escape is possible because I desire it. One more paragraph.
This escape is possible because I desire it. The expansion of awareness that occurs in the wholly aware moment calls me to be myself within its embrace. I'm invited to let go of self-imposed limits and enter a state of refuge where I can be at peace. This transition is not achieved through destruction, but by a quiet melting in. By releasing the limits placed upon love, I join it where it is and experience the peace that awaits me. That's quite an important paragraph.
Yeah, but quite beautiful. It's and that was done, in a few seconds. Amazing. It's the power of AI. You feed it. So it's almost like in the summary, everything we've done in the session gets encoded into this summary.
And it does it very well.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Because to write a summary like this would take us an hour or two easily. So it's great just to be able to feed it and then say, okay, kicks out a summary that is completely personalized to the way we've, the personalized text. So it's unique. You're not going to find a summary like this anywhere else. It's based on the whole session gets encapsulated in the summary, and then there's a key message as well, which I wrote a year ago. And willingly, I'm just going to make this in the first person, willingly relinquish my limitations. Okay, so personalized executive summary, we'll call this key message instead. Elaine, if you want to read this one.
The key message of this section is that I should not project guilt onto the body to try and get rid of it, because this will make the body suffer and be sick. which seemingly proves that it is real, and I am separate self that can be harmed and ultimately die. But I can interpret the body like all the instruments the belief in separation has made, with the help of remembrance of perfect love, and perceive it as a means for awakening from the limits the body represents. This is the body's only true function, and it will. Where am I? Oh, where am I? This is the body's only. Yeah, there we go. This is the body's only true function, and it will serve it well. If I allow the remembrance of perfect love to direct my words and actions, if I do this consistently, I will be opening my mind to a mystic experience of joining with something or someone that will show me the laws that seems to govern the body are not real, and merging with the infinite eternal love I will experience in the now. In this state of pure formless awareness, I will experience the deep peace and joy that this loving presence inevitably leads to, and free my mind from its belief in separation once and for all time.
Yeah, so you got various, there's a longer summary, and then there's a very short one of the key message. So you don't have time to read the whole thing. You can just read the summary of the key message. That's the idea. Okay, so would you like to do a meditation to close out the session?
Yeah.
Okay. So just ready. All right, so just making yourself comfortable. And your favorite meditation posture. So if you're sitting, sit feet shoulder width apart, back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. Start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Then you can lie down if you want, probably are, so just make yourself comfortable. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose to engage into the meditation. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clench the sphincter muscle. That's the muscle used to squeeze the last drops of urine out. So lock the energy in that way. Feel this energy drawing up the spine into your heart center. And one hand in your heart center. Drawing it up into the crown of your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale. So it's a maximal inhale breath. Breathing in. Just scan your mind now. So notice any kind of resistance, any negative thoughts. I'm going to get negative thoughts are negative of the truth, they negate love. Anything like that, notice it, breathe into it. This deep state of awareness, allowing that to rise in you. And anything that's not that, you just notice it's out of accord with that deeper awareness. It doesn't belong in your mind. So you're going to release it with the help of the breath. So exhale. blowing it out with the breeze of the breath into the nothingness that really is. It's gone from the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And you just rest here in the deep peace and stillness for a few moments. Breathing in and out through your nose now. Observe the breath flowing into the nostrils and the breath flowing out of the nostrils. And the stomach rises and the stomach falls. You observe that into a nice rhythm of the breath to quiet the mind, still the mind. And allow these words to drop in to that stillness, penetrating into the deepest parts of your mind, subconscious mind. So keep the breathing flowing, and when I speak the words, breathe in, hold the breath briefly, and then as you exhale out through the nose, you speak the words as affirmations of the truth. And do the key message of the section, which really encapsulates this teaching into a couple of paragraphs. So just repeat these as affirmations of this truth to internalize what you've learned tonight. So breathing in. You listen. So the key message of this section is that I should not project guilt onto the body to try and get rid of it. As you exhale out through the nose, just repeat those words. Should not project guilt onto the body to try and get rid of it. Breathing in again, because this will make the body suffer and be sick. Exhale as you repeat those words. Breathing in again through the nose, nice deep full maximal inhale breath. Hold the breath as you listen. And this seemingly proves that the body is real, and I am a separate self. So exhale and say those words. Seemingly proves that body is real and I'm a separate self. Breathing in again. That can be harmed and ultimately die. Breathing in again. That I can reinterpret the body. Exhale, speak those words, but I can reinterpret the body. Breathing in again. Like all the instruments, the belief in separation is made. Exhale as you repeat those words. Breathing in. with the help of the remembrance of perfect love. Exhale. Repeat those words with the help of the remembrance of perfect love. And perceive it as a means for awakening from the limits that the body represents. Exhale and repeat. Perceive it as a means for awakening from the limits that the body represents. And the body becomes a means of awakening from the limits that it represents. How profound is that? The Holy Spirit can do that for you and reinterpret what is meant to limit you into a tool for your awakening, a vehicle that allows you to experience the world and learn the lesson that you are not a body. And this, as you breathe in again, this is the body's only true function. Exhale, repeat those words. This is the body's only true function. Breathe in, and it will serve it well. I allow the remembrance of perfect love to direct my words and actions. Serve it well. So you exhale, repeat those words. Serve it well if I allow the remembrance of perfect love to direct my words and actions. Breathing in again, deep full inhale breath through the nose. Pause as you listen to me speaking. If I do this consistently, I will be opening my mind to a mystic experience. Exhale. Repeat those words. If I do this consistently, I'll be opening my mind to a mystic experience of joining with something or someone that will show me repeat those words. Breathe in again. Laws that seem to govern the body are not real. And merging with the infinite eternal love I will experience in the now. So as you speak the words, feel that merging happening right now. And merge into this infinite eternal love, pure formless awareness of perfect love, we call it. Right now. And in this state of pure formless awareness, I will experience the deep peace and joy this loving presence inevitably leads to. And free my mind from its belief in separation once and for all time. So feel the profundity of these words. We are setting the intention to escape from all the limits of the body and all the limits of space and time. And you're inviting this experience. It's well described, the mystic experience in this particular section. Inviting this experience to come into your awareness right now. So there's really nothing else to do. There's nowhere else to go. Nothing else to think about. Just breathe in and out through your nose, relax. Be still and allow this experience to happen. Whatever you're meant to experience in this moment, you will. You open your mind to that experience. All you have to do is be willing. Little willingness, Yeshua says, to experience the mystic experience, to be transported beyond your illusions of separation, not beyond this reality of the body and space and time in which it seems to live, into this deep, profound, mystic experience of the now, the wholly aware moment in the now. And just fully surrender to this experience. Nothing else to do, nowhere else to go, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still, and allow this experience to encompass you and enfold you and bring you whatever experience it wants you to experience. So you surrender to this experience moment by moment. In the next few minutes of deep contemplative silence. So just gently coming back from this deep connected state. It's an awareness of the body and the breath and the senses and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile. Scan your mind, so notice any thoughts and emotions, related body sensations going on for you, particularly and it feels limiting, contracted, constricting in any way, shape or form, and you just blow it out. Let it all go with the breeze of your breath. Escape the limitations of these thoughts, these beliefs. They're just beliefs that are an expression of a tiny mad idea of separation. And you release it, you blow it out. So the nothingness that it really is. It's gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And you rest here for a few moments in the gap between breaths. This exquisite gap in mind. It's a little portal into the state of pure formless awareness. So allow yourself to experience that deep state of awareness. For a few moments, count of 2. Notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground, noticing what you're feeling, touching your hands. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, smell in your nose, notice that. Notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Noticing all these things from this very, very still, calm and surrendered state of mind. State of mind without any illusions. State in which there is only peace and love and joy. So set the intention to stay connected to the state. You're in the moment, the wholly aware moment, and you let the moment extend forever, moment by moment. Stay in the state, present, peaceful, calm, happy. The rest of the evening, you might want to top yourself up with practicing the lesson, using the breath break, and maybe one more time before bed. Listening to meditation I sent you on the lesson, if you can. And that should keep you in this deep peace and the joy this loving presence inevitably leads to. And free your mind from its belief in separation once and for all time. So it is said and so it is done. So on the count of 3, open your eyes. So just take a minute to look around, observing various objects in the room around you in the state of deep awareness. Notice anything randomly. As your eyes rest on it for a few seconds, notice that the peace that you experience with your eyes closed is still there. Then close your eyes, you drop into that peace, and you open your eyes again, look at something else, and notice that the peace is still there. Close your eyes, Notice the peace, same peace, nothing's changed. Open your eyes, same peace, irrespective of what you're looking at. And so you train your mind that really that peace is there all the time. One of the early workbook lessons, lesson 29 says, God goes with me wherever I go. And the second extension of that is God goes with me wherever I go, because God is in my mind. So this awareness goes with you wherever you go because it's in your mind and it underlies every perception you have. And so through this mind training, these exercises, you start to become aware of that. So awareness is always with you. You're never outside of that awareness. It's all encompassing. In fact, this awareness is you. That's the whole point. It is who you really are. It's your authentic self. And there is nothing else. Only that awareness is true. Everything else is a figment of your imagination and doesn't really exist. And so experientially, as we practice these meditations, we experience more and more of this awareness, we come to learn that this is true. Not theoretically, not intellectually, but through experience. We come to know from our own experience that it's true, and that's what knowledge is. In our own experience, we know it to be true. And then when we know it to be true, the deepest part of our being, we are awakened. We have awakened to the knowledge of truth and of self, capital self. And this is the only purpose for our lives, to know this truth. And hopefully tonight you have come to know that truth more fully and more deeply. So I hope so, and I wish you more, even deeper connections with this truth, deeper experiences of this truth as we go along with this program. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and of tonight's session. So thank you, Elaine and Christine, for joining. Great session as always.
Yeah, great
Thanks
session.
to Elaine thank you for the suggestion of just doing the text, because we just wouldn't have got through it all. It was nice to finish it.
Yeah, it was wonderful text this evening. Yeah, really good.
Yeah. So, and thanks for joining us, Christine. Much appreciated. You really made a huge contribution to the session. And
Thank you very much.
yeah. Okay. So I'll see you tomorrow. So are we tomorrow? You told me we could do an evening session, 5 o'clock start, or we could start at 12:30.
Well, tomorrow I'm actually working in the morning and the afternoon, so it would have to be the evening. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't finish. I don't
What
actually
time
finish
do you
till 6 as well, so it's going to be a long day for me tomorrow. So,
okay.
so whatever Christine wants.
Yeah. Christine, can
Evening's
you
fine.
make it tomorrow?
Evening's fine for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So see you tomorrow
Okay.
evening.
Yeah. Should we start at 6 then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. 6 p.m.
Okay.
Tomorrow's at 7 your time, Christine.
All right.
All right. See you then.
Great.
See you then.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone. Bye.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye. Namaste.
Good night. Namaste.
All right. So thanks everyone for joining. Thanks to Elaine and Christine. Great session. Some deep, profound messages there. So yeah. Hope to see you again tomorrow. If you are not a member, you'd like to join these live calls and be part of the transformation that goes on, then just look below this. I put a message. If you've seen this video on YouTube, look at it below and you'll see a way to join a masterclass. Click the link, register, and join us this Sunday to come on the inside. So I hope to see you on the inside soon. Thanks for joining, and namaste, which means the the peace in me acknowledges and honors that same peace in you.